Where are we?
Scof, we're in San Clemente at North Menswear.
Oh my God, look at that. Absolutely, I can't even wait. I've heard so much. I've looked at their online presence and everything. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Well, why don't we go on inside? Let's take a look before we sit down with Martin. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right.
Martin, welcome.
Yes.
Thank
oh my
you.
God.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely stunning place you have here.
Appreciate that.
I mean, I haven't been in too many places like this. You know, it's just absolutely, I don't think I've ever been in a place like this, to be honest with you, that it's this cool with all the clothing, the glasses. I mean, yeah, I know I'm going to walk out of here buying something, unfortunately. Or fortunately.
Well, it's funny because when I messaged you about doing it, I was like, I think this is a home run. And then he's like, where is it at? And I'm like, San Clemente. He's like, that beer near you? And I'm like, I live in Irvine, so it's an extra like 20-minute drive, and it's already an hour and a half for him down to there. And I was like, but trust me on this one. It's a menswear shop. It has great products, really focusing on local, American made.
Appreciate that.
You know, and I was like, it's got our vibe. They love community. They love doing events. We love doing events and collabs. I was like, check out the page. And he's like, all right, I'm in. Let's do this.
Awesome.
So I appreciate you being on.
No, I appreciate you having me on. And it's interesting, you know, you get so many DMs and you're trying to filter through, okay, what's legit and what isn't. And I was like, I read it, like, cool, I have to. Let's do it. And I checked out Schofield. I was, okay, it's a podcast. I got somewhat of an idea. But this morning I got the full story. So, yeah, this is awesome.
And it's funny because we had Jack King from LC King out of Tennessee. And when Scof messaged him, he's like, why is someone from a flower company want me on their podcast? What do I know about flowers?
It was almost a similar reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, our motto is buy some flowers or you're dead.
Well, either way, you're going to be buying flowers because then you have your funeral, and of course, you know, the flower shop's got to do that.
I told you was going to buy some flowers. I'm sorry, you know, what can I tell you? But yeah, no, I love it. And I mean, the name. So tell us about the name.
So the name North, obviously, for those that don't know, I'm the second owner. The previous owner, Peter Serpernot, he created North with the intent of, you know, North is the star that you follow. It's the guide, and we kind of continue on that legacy where North is the star that you follow. It's you know, you follow your true north, and it's also, you know, talking about heart, you know, finding your life's passion, whatever that may be, and then just going with it. And for me, this has been my true north. You know, it's the compass pointing north. Funny enough, that's north. That direction, that's actually north right there.
Oh, that's
cool.
That's
you know,
great.
and so it's just for me, it's a fitting. You know, it's fitting for me to be the new owner, the second owner of North Menswear, because it's always been my life's calling to do something like this and to carry on the torch.
So
I love it.
And I know you mentioned, you know, you're now the second owner. I knew Pete from before.
Correct.
At the Laguna shop, but I'd love to hear how you came about, you know, kind of taking it over. And I wouldn't necessarily, it's a new direction, but it's you're taking it to the next level. It's the new phase of North, probably. You know, how did that all come about?
So I'll add to what you just said. Pete always said, man, I just lit the kindling, and it's your job to light the fire. And so, yeah, it's very sentimental when he says that. So how this all came about, I'm going to take you back to 2006, 2007 when I lived in New York. I'm smoking cigars with a buddy of mine, Francisco, and we're at this place on 6th Avenue between 58th and 57th. It's called De La Concha, and we're smoking cigars. He asked me a question like, hey, man, I've always wondered, I wanted to ask you, like, if you could do whatever it is you wanted to do with your life, your career, whatever, what would it be? And without hesitation, I said, man, I'd love to create a shop where, you know, it embodies an Americana lifestyle, you know, American-made goods, American-made clothing. It could range from candles to knives or whatever, just everything and anything Americana. It's like, wow, that sounds cool. And what would it look like? Well, it'd look rustic, lived in. You know, think of a beach cottage or, you know, a cabin or just a hunter's club. And he's like, man, I really like the sound of that. And I hope that you get to fulfill that. I moved from New York to Laguna in 2010, so 11 years ago.
What a change.
Yeah. Well, I always said that
concrete to sea.
ocean. Yeah, exactly.
To the ocean.
And I always told myself, like, if I'm going to move to I'm originally from San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
But I had no intention of coming back to California. I was a New Yorker at that point. That was it. I was sold on the life of New York, and funny enough, I was on the verge of wanting to do something similar to this in New York. Just never had the chance or the opportunity to do it. Life is funny that way. I was involved with a woman at the time who had an opportunity to come to California for her career, and that's why we came out here, and that was it. And we chose Laguna and never looked back.
Yeah.
So in the time that I was in Laguna, the first 3 years, there was no menswear shop. Like there's a couple shops in Laguna, but nothing like that New York vibe or that urban vibe. And 3 years later, I'm walking up Glen Eyrie, and the shop catches my attention. I'm like, what is this? And I walked in. I was immediately transported to that conversation I had years prior with my friend Francisco about the whole Americana thing, and that's exactly what I walked into. And I looked at Pete, and I was like, are you the owner of the shop? He's like, yeah. We just hit it off from there and kept the friendship. That was where I would buy my clothes. Mm-hmm. Every job that I've ever had, they provided uniform or some sort of clothing allowance, and I never had a need to buy clothes. But if I did buy anything, it was always at North. So that's how the relationship started. And then from there, it was just a matter of just staying in contact with Pete. He would do these cool events. I remember 2017, I took a job that required me to open up an Instagram and Facebook account. I was never on social media prior to that.
Right.
Shortest tenure of my life. I never, that job lasted me 6 months, and it wasn't a good fit. I left, and the day that I left, I updated LinkedIn, and I had friends calling me like, yo, what the heck just happened? I just saw your LinkedIn. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with that place, blah, 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 whatever. I'm done with social media. And then a buddy of mine was like, no, don't delete your social media. Pump the brakes. Meet me here. Let's have lunch. I met him for lunch that day, and he asked me, what's your passion? And without hesitation, man, it's like I want to build an American lifestyle brand. That blah blah blah. I just regurgitated. He's like, I've asked so many people that question. You're the first person to answer it without hesitating. So that's what your social media should be about. Follow, just American made. Follow brands that are American made. Connect with a community that's American made. And I was blown away that how quickly of a community I was able to connect with people on Instagram that had that same mindset, same belief. And when people meet me, they think that this is just something because of the political climate. It has nothing to do with politics. This is something that I've exuded for years. That I've always known that I want to build a shop with American-made goods. That's what's in my heart. Again, going back to your true north, and that's to see it finally kind of happen is a dream come true. So the Instagram, when my friend said to hold on to the Instagram, that's when I reached out to Pete, and I was like, hey man, I'd love to help you out with photo shoots or whatever. If I could just take some clothes, consign some clothes, take it out of the shop, do photo shoot. He's like, yeah man, whatever. So that would help him out. Then, because of being at the jobs that I've had and building a client base, I started bringing customers in there, and Pete and I made an arrangement to, if I style people and if I sell clothing, he would compensate me, whether through clothing or some sort of monetary compensation. In my heart, I always, when I meet good people, I always want to find a way to help them out, and that was our relationship. And Pete just knew that how much I loved North. And a year later, I think a year and a half later, 2018, I remember just kind of blurting it out, like, "Hey, if you ever get tired of North, I'd love to, to be the one to buy it from you." It's like, okay. It's like, yeah. So if it ever gets to that point, please let me be the first to know. And he did.
Wow.
So one thing led to another, and yeah, here we are. Pete, he's from the East Coast as well, Connecticut area. In finding Laguna, it was always a home to him. I feel that just for him, his vision, he built his vision, and I just wanted to take that vision. So to answer the second part, it's like I want to build this bigger. It's been my mission to take this brand and to build it bigger.
That's great. I mean, it's respect too.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I mean, you respected what he did, and
absolutely.
And you're bringing your flavor to the scene and everything. I mean,
That's
I look
it.
at the clothing around here, and I remember years ago when I mean, style is a big thing. If you're a businessman like in advertising, this is how we dress, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's important to look good at all times too. And I can remember I was in Detroit, or no, I was in St. Louis. And I was at Budweiser, and I was pitching a campaign that I knew that they had coming up, and it was Bud to the bone, right? So it was like, and I walked in, and I remember I bought a bunch of suits. Back in the day, you had to wear a suit, right? So I bought some suits at this place, and it was at a mall, and it was okay. It was called Oak Tree, and I'm walking out, and this little Jewish lady sees me. She goes, "Hey, honey, come here. I want to talk to you. What'd you buy over there?" And I bought some colorful stuff. She goes, nah. She goes, come here. I want to teach you how to dress. She brought me in. It had every major Italian brand in there, right? So she laid everything out on a table, and she says, come here. I'm going to teach you something in life. I want you to feel the clothing. Feel it, touch it, put it on, see how it drapes on you. That's exactly what I did. I walked right back across the street. I returned everything, walked right back in and paid double from her.
Yeah.
I went to Darcy McManus, Benton and Bowles. Surprisingly, I can remember the name of the agency. Saw my buddy Lewis Williams. Next thing you know, I got that campaign because the minute they walked in, they go, Scof, you look fucking awesome. You look amazing, dude. And those clothes set the tone for what I was representing. And it was style, and it was like my film director was fantastic. That campaign led to like 7 other campaigns down the road. Heartbeat of America,
That's
for
awesome.
Truck. I mean, it was just like boom, 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 right? So I love it. Coming in here, now I look at like what we're wearing, and I look at like I like L.C. King, and I wear a lot of his jackets and things like that. And then I dress it up with a bandana or a scarf. I got a lot of fedoras, and I was just like, and I get the same compliments.
Yeah, that's it.
And walking in here, I mean, it's the styles are just fantastic. I mean, it's great. Now you come from so how did you were at John Varvatos?
Correct. I was at John Varvatos prior to kind of. This was all kind of unfolding while I was working with John Varvatos. 2019 is when we started the agreement, like the sales agreement, back and forth, and it literally took that entire year almost. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. And then where were you before? How did you actually get into the fashion,
clothing
and
everything
like that? I mean, did you have any fashion background?
No fashion.
No. What did you do right out of school and everything? I mean,
so I'm going to take you back to my days in San Francisco. I remember walking in the financial district, and I'm on Market Street with my mom. And I'm just like looking at all these men with their briefcases and 3T suits, and I'm like asking them, I'm like, what do these guys do? Well, some of them are doctors, some of them are lawyers, some of them work in finance. Well, it's like, why do you want to be a lawyer or a businessman? Like, I'd love to be a businessman, but I just want to dress like them. I was like,
that's awesome.
I don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I just want to look. I love the suits, Yeah. And funny enough. I never would have imagined that years later that I would start working in businesses where, like for example, Brioni. I worked at Brioni for about 3 years, and Brioni, if you're not familiar, they're like the upper echelon of suiting.
Yeah, I had a couple Brionis.
There you go. So
they wouldn't fit me now, but
and when you shared that story of how you bought the suits from that one place and you went across the street. And literally, it's like, when you get the education of fit, fabric, and construction, feeling different fabrics, to the hand on those fabrics and the way they drape, man, it makes you feel like $1 million. But that's how I got my first taste into fashion. And then, obviously, growing up as a teenager, trying to find my way, I got really into the hip-hop culture. Mm-hmm. I say culture because too many people use the word hip-hop and think that that's music. No. the culture within it. It's a subculture, and within that culture, there's music, there's art, there's dance.
Complex Con. How great is Complex Con?
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best thing I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, I like them better than anything because the culture, the gym shoes, everything, hats, the style. I mean, and it crosses across America, big time. I grew up with tons of house music being from Chicago. My parents loved jazz. My parents loved blues. Always had jazz, Sinatra. And then and my godfather owned the top Italian restaurant in the neighborhood. So his name was Fortune Ranucci Adolphs, and so I would go there as a kid and deliver flowers, and the next thing you know, Mama Ranucci, you're too thin, you're too thin. She should see me now. Now she'd say, you're too fat, you're too fat.
Manja.
But eat all the time.
No manja.
And I'd go there when I was like 20, you could drink, and we'd go there until it was 4 o'clock a.m. you could party to. So we'd go there with my buddies, and we're in our platforms. Style.
And he has the photos to prove he wore platforms.
Right? Black and white, too. And so my godfather would I always walk in and I'd have breakfast and then they'd give me their check and I'd say, I got it, guys, don't worry about it. I'd sign it. And my buddy's, God, man, you always sign it? You got cash on you? I said, yeah, I deliver flowers. I'm always getting cash on tips, right? Yeah. So the next thing you know, at Christmas, I'd get a shoebox full of the receipts with a bow around it saying, Merry Christmas, kid. Make sure you stop by again. And it's like, I'll be there next week.
Exactly.
So that's great.
Yeah.
I love fashion. I like where it's going. And I mean, it's funny that you following your North Star and what you have here, because my career is changing again. We've been doing this podcast, and the podcast has led to clients coming on and collabs with people, and next thing you know, I'm doing a Netflix campaign for Chicago 7. The movie out right there, trial and everything, and it's like, and now it's up for Academy Award, and it could win, and it's like Sacha Cohen, and it's like I feel like we definitely had part of it. We had something to do with. Just the launch of it. We were involved in the launch of the film, and I'm very proud of what we did, and people are blown away when I send our case studies. So I think it's all about how you follow your true north.
You bring up a good point. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So you bring up a good point about collaborations. I had a gentleman here a few days ago who has a hot sauce that he's launching. It's called This. It's called This. It's that simple.
This hot sauce.
This hot sauce. And his name's Tony Trujillo. And again, he sent me a DM. Hey, I live in Dana Point. And I'm like reading, just like, okay, is this legit? So, sure enough, I was like, I'm reading. I'm like, okay. I respond to him like, hey, why don't you roll through the shop? Boom, I'll be there in 30 minutes. That guy rolled up, had his sauce. And the moment that he walked in, instant connection. And, we sat down here and I expressed to him as, creatives will find each other.
Yeah.
You reached out and here we are today. When you do cool shit, like people are going to gravitate towards it and want to, collaborate and do great things. And, your success is because of that. Like you gravitate, people are gravitating to you to do certain things. And, and here we are today. And
you've said help people out. And,
absolutely.
Things like that. Oh my God! If I wrote down the people I've helped out, I'd be.
You helped me get to call it, and that we were talking off camera before. It's like it's about community first.
Absolutely.
If you help people, you give.
Oh yeah.
People are going to give to you when you need it, or just out of their own goodness, because you are building those branches where it's like, I'm not doing this for monetarily reasons. I don't have any additional motives. I genuinely care about you, and I want to see you succeed, and they'll feel the same for you. So they'll find reasons to give back to you when you're not even asking for it. It's like, hey, I'm doing this. Like we've been able, like people are like, oh, do you have sponsors for your podcast? I'm like, we don't really do sponsors. I mean, not that we're not open to it, but we've been finding more success in finding people that will collaborate with us. He met Nicola from Shagbag at an event. They started talking. Next thing you know, she's on the podcast, and then we're making a cigar jacket, with flowers on and everything. Yeah, wow. So he has a smoking jacket.
We have a smoking jacket now, which is dope.
Yeah. We did. We had Nick Ganbarian from the band Bayside on. He has a coffee company. We were going to do a coffee roast for an event. It didn't work out then, but it's something we're going to do.
Yeah.
And it's like we're both going in on it so that we can help each other's brands.
Absolutely.
We're buying the coffee from him, and then we'll sell it. He wins, we win, and everyone has a great time. Yeah. And we've been finding that success, and I'm sure we'll have something that we can talk about.
Absolutely.
You like to do the events. I mean, that's one of how I found about North, going back, because Commodity Coffee had the pop-up in the Laguna shop, and I was, friends with the owner of Commodity. Yeah. And he's like, hey, come on down. I'm doing this. Okay, cool. I'm going to support a friend.
Now we're circling
even
back.
for like Shag Bag, right? I mean, any guy that's coming in here is a hip dude, and he's probably got a hip chick. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
Girlfriend, wife, whatever it is, they're hip, right?
And believe it or not, the women are the ones that end up buying more for
their boyfriends, right? Because they want to have their boyfriends look hip, right?
Looking good.
So, and imagine right now the things that are happening because of just like being at home so much. I mean, just getting out of the house today. I didn't care if it was traffic or not. It was just good to be in the truck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I heard something recently on that point is whenever there is, I think it's like war or disease, that innovation comes. And so with the last pandemic, which was the Spanish flu 1918, the 20s was an explosion of glamour and events and everything. Yeah, it's the roaring 20s.
We're back in it 100 years later.
Yeah.
And so they were saying, there's going to be something fashion-wise, culture-wise that's going to come of this, and in a booming way.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, right now it's like at home I'm wearing, comfy clothes. I'm not putting on the jeans, I'm not putting on there. But then when I have the reason to, I'm putting on my nice, denim, even though now I'm like, these aren't as comfortable. Raw denim's not as comfortable as it used to be. I've been wearing stretchy pants all the time.
Exactly.
But I'm putting on my Red Wing boots. I'm putting on, layers of jackets. I'm putting on the nice hats. I'm wearing all the things that I love to wear when I can.
Absolutely.
Because I'm trying to find reasons to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're going to see, on one side, people are wearing Crocs now, but on the other side, people are going to want to dial it up and dress it up more when they're out and about because they're wearing that just for their around the house and stuff.
Absolutely. And you bring up a really, really good point, a cultural shift. I spent the last week and the first 2 weeks, so the last week of 2020 and the first 2 weeks of January, just in such a dark place because I was doing introspect. I was looking back at what could I have done differently.
Right.
2020 was hard on everybody.
Right there with you.
And so
same thing. For
me, it was what did we do as a society? What did we do as people other than bicker about the left or the right? And just creates there was so much toxicity in 2020 that I was just like, what can I do to improve humanity? And so one of the biggest things was to align myself with brands that give back to community.
I think that's the smartest thing
There's
I've
a
ever
brand
heard.
called Bowie & Co. out of L.A. Every garment that we sell of Bowie & Co., $7 of that goes to the Social Good Foundation, which helps feed a family of 5 for a week.
Wow.
I have this young man out of the blue. And talk about he came in at the end of November. Right when we opened up. His name's Mason, and he has a brand called Lorraine by Name. Dude's from Kansas. I love his demeanor, love his attitude, and he just delivered his first shipment. Personally, he brought it on our pop-up our Moto
What is
meetup.
it called?
It's called Lorraine by Name,
and
he has these awesome shirts, and 20% of the sales for that shirt. One of them goes to the California Wildlife Rescue, and the other one goes to the Art of Elysium. How cool is that?
That's really cool.
Parker Warby. Parker Warby. Yeah.
Parker,
the eyewear.
Yeah.
The eyewear. I remember going into their office in New York. They're Princeton kids, and came out of Princeton, started this eyewear thing. And hi.
We're working.
Want to be on a podcast? That's so good. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. he never works because he enjoys what he does.
Exactly. And it's that adage: love what you do, and you'll never work another day in your life.
Now, Martin,
don't cut that out. Actually.
We keep everything.
And when we do cut something out, it ends up at the end as bloopers and all that.
I love it.
I'm not, Scof can never get my last name right.
Yeah.
He's known me for like 20 years. It's all so we always end up have about 6 of those going on. But I want to go back because there's something that I noticed. So, kind of going back, you kind of came in with North and started doing some stuff for them, and all of a sudden I saw a shift. And again, nothing against what Pete was doing, but there was a dramatic change. All of a sudden, there was daily content coming out there. There was a lot of stories, different things keeping the brand going. And all of a sudden, I go, I wonder if there's a new owner. Like something was there. And this was around, beginning of 2020. Yeah. And then I end up seeing an article about, you taking over and all that.
Sorry.
And, it's funny. You took over right before a pandemic happened, and retail was like one of the first things to shut down and shift through. I'm kind of curious, obviously I'm sure you're scared shitless. Of course, you're building a brand new shop and all this, but what went through, to keep pushing and to keep going through with your vision during all that, instead of what other companies, kind of just go, oh, we're moving on, next thing.
So, I was scared shitless. Yeah. I remember telling Alec, March 11th, I was like, you know what? And this was before even there was a mandate on closing. Right. I preemptively decided to shut the doors, and I told Alec, I was like, we're going to close tomorrow. We're going to close because that's the direction that's happening. I'm going to need to figure out how we have to pivot. And there were things that we did preemptively prior to the closing of the shop. We revamped the website, like you said. We started upping the game on social media. I started figuring out, like, the website was the biggest thing to me because I felt like something was lacking. So for 2 weeks, I couldn't sleep. I was trying to figure out how are we going to get through this. I remember calling Pete one day, and I'm like, dude, are you an oracle? Did you just decide to sell this to me, knowing this was gonna dude, I had no clue.
Oh my god!
And then actually Pete opened up to me because then he shared with me. He's like, look, I'm going through my own thing too, man. I got let go by the company that he was working with, and I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh. So now it's like he sold what was making him money, and also lost his job being let go, and I'm like, wow. Okay, I need to figure something out because it's not just me. This is everybody. And I remember watching. I don't know if it was a post that a buddy of mine put out, and I'm like, what am I thinking? Why don't I reach out to Victor from Omniprint? So Omniprint, they create DTG machines. So if you're not familiar with DTG, it's direct-to-garment printing. So you take T-shirts, basically, and you just print graphics directly right on there. And so you have these blank tees. You print whatever graphic on there. And I'm like, okay, that's it. That's what we're going to do. It was 3 in the morning. I text my friend, Elisabeth, and I'm thinking to myself, he's probably not going to be awake, but whatever. Yeah. Boom, he responded. He's like, dude, what are you thinking? I'm like, why don't we get with Victor, Omniprint? Everything that we're going through right now, we're not the only ones. You're the artist, and I don't know how to communicate this. But what I want to do is, based on everything that's happening right now with COVID-19 and this and that, why don't we create graphics and do this collaboration? You paint whatever comes to you, and 20% of the proceeds will go to a small business every week. Wow. And I'll get together with Victor. Let me text Victor.
I remember that.
And I text Victor, and it's like same thing. Like, cool. I like it. Let's do it. He had to close down. He had just moved to a new facility from Costa Mesa to Irvine. He really wasn't set up to and we didn't know what to expect. But Sabet was just pumping graphics out, and they were coming to him, and I'm like, all right, cool. And I would, we would create these little templates, and now they're available online. And Victor is connecting to our Shopify, so that whenever an order comes in, his team just, receives it. They pull the shirt, they print it, they pack it, they ship it to the customer. And that went on for about 3 weeks. And that literally, actually a little over 3, I think a month and a half. And that literally held us over. And we started doing masks. He started developing masks that he can print on. And no joke, that is what held us over, and we didn't. The fact that we even had business that month, was actually April was the month that we were fully closed. Was just like I was grateful, because I think that at that point it was just tapping into the idea that you're giving back, giving to others, and God or North or the divine being or whoever just saw that and.
But I think it was also what we talked about before. It's like you were doing something. You could have kept all those profits. Yeah. You were obviously going to need money, but you go, no, there's something bigger. And I think the community wrapped around that and go, I may not need a shirt, but I have disposable income, to buy this shirt to help someone else out.
Correct.
And it's those branches that you reached out where it's like, I'm doing all this just because I care, and other people are going to come back to you because they care about you and everyone else, and I'm sure that's exactly why. I mean, I don't remember when I got it, but I got one of the North Shore shirts during the shutdown because I have a lot of free time, and I'm online looking at stuff, and I'm seeing the posts, I'm seeing the looks of the weeks, which was one of the ones when I noticed a definite shift in your social media. It's like, oh, that's cool. Look of the week. And I'm posting it there and going, oh, I like that. And you can visualize what, it's not just a sweatshirt now. It's a sweatshirt with pants.
Correct.
You're creating a look, and you can visually see that. But I just remember, going, I'm like, I need to grab a shirt, so it's the Indian head one. I have the sweatshirt, to match, but I'm a big fan of the brand, and I just was like, I have some extra income. Let me buy something to a place I enjoy going to.
I think more brands are going to start. I think you're going to see more and more. I think the next gen is all about giving back.
It truly is. And interestingly enough, I got a lot of the vendors that we carry to create this campaign video. And I don't remember, it's like, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I forgot what the exact thing was. But everybody wanted to give back, and they all were on board. They were like, "Man, that's a great idea, man." And the fact that you're going to give back to small businesses, we love it. And so the first business, they got a couple $100. Then that following, we were doing it every week.
Oh,
the
wow,
following week, the more money we made, that another business.
Do you still have that? Can we get a hold of that?
I have the video.
Put it at the end of the podcast.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Just let people see that what you're doing and everything, because I think it's like. I was just talking about I was watching a NBA game last night, and I was like, and then I look at what's going on in outside of Compton and that area and things like that. And I just think that, with homeless downtown and everything, I think that more sports players that are making $50 million a year and things like that need to be doing, LeBron James puts a lot of money back into the community, Cleveland and schooling and everything. I mean, I think every single athlete that is making big money needs to be given back.
Yeah, I think
they're blessed.
And you're hitting a point because I don't think enough of that is shared. Sean Combs, I know that he wanted to start a school at one point. Whether that came to fruition,
it just needs to be said, because then other people will, if they hear about it, like what you're talking about, and we'll share it. Is that more businesses need to do it?
Yeah. We talked about Kobe earlier. That a lot of people don't realize. People loved him or hated him, and the people that hated him for what he did on court kind of a thing. But what I think everyone loves him for is we would hear stories. I used to work for sports teams. I worked for the Phoenix Suns. And basically there was a girl with cancer in Phoenix, and PR was like, hey, her favorite, we worked with Make-A-Wish, and Make-A-Wish was like, she wanted to meet Kobe or something. And basically they reached out and they're like, well, he's in town playing this game. And I'm probably going to butcher the story, but it later after his death all these stories started coming out of all these things. Yeah. He was literally paying not just one or two people's medical bills, but paying a ton of people's medical bills outright. Yeah.
Never knew
it's on
that.
Kobe, and people don't know that. But he, I think if I recall correctly, either before or after the game when they were in Phoenix, he just went to the hospital, hung out with this kid. He didn't have to do that. I think they wanted to get him a signed car, something like that. And he just hung out and then asked the mom, is this something that can be fixed with money? Basically just needs money to do surgery or whatever. And he's like, because I'll take care of whatever it is.
That's awesome.
Someone he doesn't know,
man.
doesn't meet, out of the kindness of his heart. And it's like one of these things where it's like people don't like him because of, the sports side, but how can you not love him
Well, not only
for who he was as a human?
Exactly. But it's not only the sports side. I think that people made him a prisoner of his past because of, whatever happened with his marriage. Who cares? Like, and I don't mean to be insensitive about it, but things happen. Mm-hmm. People make mistakes, move forward. And through that man's actions... And like you said, why wasn't any of that shared?
A lot of times he asked to not be.
Share. Exactly,
he didn't want it to be out there. He wanted to be the private person. But at the same time, it's like, because he wasn't doing it to be, look at me, look at there.
Of course.
He just wanted to do it. But it's like, it's unfortunate. But, at the same time, I think it's great that these stories did come out after his death so that people could see he wasn't just a basketball player. Any of his troubles in the past, whether it was on the court or off the court, doesn't define him, and it really shows who he was as a person.
And even as a parent, man, he was a great dad. I mean, the way he treated his daughters and everything, I mean, that's just like being there at the games and everything. I know one of the guys that comes in the cigar shop, he worked at the place that Kobe had where he was going that day. Mm-hmm. And I just saw him yesterday.
The Mamba Foundation?
The Mamba? Yeah, so he was just distraught as ever. So, I mean, it's sad. But, I mean, God bless him, and he's looking down on us.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, so you've got, I saw you pull up on your Harley, and you got the 1200 Sportster in that, but you also have another, you got like something on YouTube that you've been doing too with the different brands, right?
So it's a show called The American Ride. It's a show that I wanted to, again, stepping outside of myself, doing what I can to highlight someone else. The first episode, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember what the first episode was. I know that I have this young man by the name of Duran Morley, and he has a shop, the Van Speed Shop out of Costa Mesa, and I believe he actually moved his facilities, but what he does, he takes Sprinter vans or the Sprinter type vans, Ford or Nissan, and he can convert them, create, make turn them into rooms, add kitchens and whatnot.
Wow.
Like little homes. And he, at the time, was 19, a young guy, and he's got his that's his true north. He's got his business going. Yeah, that's his niche, and he found it, and he's just doing such an awesome job with that. Then we had Koko Brand, who the denim that I'm wearing right now. They do everything out of L.A. They have their workshop there, and I got a tour. I got to walk around with Nick, the owner of the facility there, and it was just such an awesome experience to be able to walk around and check out their textiles, how they do things from concept and to execution. Bravis Brew Company, which is a non-alcoholic beer. I was blown away by this.
You're tasting that?
Well, because I'm 7 years going on 7 years sober.
Congrats, man!
Thank you. And it's like, I know some people feel that if you're having a non-alcoholic beer that you're really not sober, but it doesn't get me drunk. It's like I don't turn to Frank the Tank. You know what I mean? But the first time I experienced Bravis was at Nick's here in San Clemente, and I asked if they had a non-alcoholic beer, and the server says, we have an IPA. I started laughing. Like,
wow.
IPA. No, we have an IPA. Seriously, everybody loves it. Okay, whatever. And I was like, sure, I'll try it. She brings it out, and it's in this green can. It has the little hops on it. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. She pours it for me. I smell it, and I'm like, man, this has that hoppiness. I taste it, and my mind was blown. I need to reach out to this guy. So Phil Brandis is his name, and he was kind enough to give me a tour of his facility. So we went and filmed, and that was what I think. And Kato and Bravis were some of my favorite episodes to film. But just stuff like that. People that are creating.
Where can people find that?
It's on YouTube. You have to look up American Ride by Martin Majano, and then you'll see the.
Very cool. And we'll get that in the notes so people can just click right over.
So to wrap it up and things like that, what's the next? What do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? Not knowing where the pandemic. One guy I was talking to, he was an ex-Secret Service agent, 27 years. guarded all the presidents, right? And his kid's going to go play Major League Baseball, too.
Oh, wow.
So a really cool guy. And I go, how you doing? He goes, yeah, if this pandemic ever goes away. And I was like, well, it's going to go away. He goes, is it? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Right. So where do you see, I mean, we're going down the coast or are you going to open up in L.A.? Because if you do, I'm going to talk to you because I got the spot.
There you go. So the next 5 years, the goal is to open up along coastal cities up and down, the West Coast, starting from San Diego. So I'm looking in La Jolla or Carlsbad, and then we want to go all the way up to Washington State.
Yeah, I love Carlsbad.
Yeah.
Great little area
here in San Clemente, man. This is great.
So,
Carlsbad, hands down, one of my favorites.
It's the cool little beach town, beach community. It's just almost wanting to follow. So this Cherry Bomber, this is a custom Harley that you see behind the couch here. So the owner of that motorcycle, his name's Laurent, and he is the owner of a cool French French restaurant called Moulin. He has 5 of them, and literally has one here in San Clemente, has one in Dana Point, one in Newport, Laguna, and beach cities, basically. And so him and I were talking, and it's just like, no, you had the right idea, dude. Beach cities is the way to go. But I kind of want to spread them out because selfishly I want to be able to travel with my crew.
Yeah.
We go from one shop, work it. I really like to be hands-on.
Yeah.
It always boggles my mind if you're the CEO or the founder, why are you so distant from the people that actually work, for the company? They don't work for you; they work for the company, and we have to work with one another.
Yeah.
And so when we build these these extensions, I wanted to, same thing, have to learn the community, what resonates with the community, and really tie that into the shops that we open up. But yeah, selfishly, I want to do it because I want to ride my Harley.
Well, I was just thinking, it's a good, instead of a bar hop, it's a bike hop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you could do what you did, on the poker run with the Hells Angels, but you could do it with North.
Yeah.
You play poker going all the way up the coast.
I always did the Christmas run with those guys. So you got to bring a toy, right?
Yeah.
But it starts at a strip joint, and you go to 5 strip joints until you get your final card, and then you go to the House of Hell. And I lost my ticket the first time, and we had
Tiny
to go
was
back up
pissed.
to Tiny. I lost my ticket. He looks at me and goes, "What the hell did you do that for?" I said, "Because I got ADHD, and I was sort of like that's the way in school, and I lost my paper because my buddy told me to open up John, and he was looking at the other side. It said really big letters, "Do not open."
Wow.
Oh,
So that would be fantastic. I wish you all the luck, and then we're going to shoot some video here to make sure we show the shop off because it's fantastic.
Appreciate that.
Any brands? I mean, your brands you want to shout out to or anything like that?
Oh man, all of them: Freno, Monadic, Signature, Kato, Lorraine by Name, Banks Journal, Outer Known, Sport of Kings.
You got some whiskey here too, right?
Yeah, we got 10th Mountain Whiskey, Tequila Dame Mas, Carbonati Vodka, Bravis.
What about sunglasses?
Red Wing,
I love
Wonderland.
Caddis.
So Caddis,
yeah, we're both Caddis wearers. I had left mine in the car, but Caddis, we love you, man.
Yeah,
They're great.
Caddis, Wonderland Sun. Funny enough, a story real quick of Caddis. Mitch Colapinto, pretty well known in the San Clemente community. That surfboard behind us over there, that's Griffin Colapinto. So his son was the youngest Triple Crown winner for the surfing competitions.
Oh, wow. And
he was here yesterday, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, I saw that you're repping Caddis. I know the owner. Like you should care. Good. Thanks for." Letting me know because we definitely
they're real. They fit so well.
Absolutely,
they really do.
Jack Henry, who else? Hardworking Gentleman, St. Rita, Tobacco. I mean, they're up in your area. The Tobacco Motor. Magnus Alpha, Esquivel.
Favorite cigar.
Oh man, there's too many.
I know. I still got cigar breath from last night.
Right now, Padrones. I love Padrones. Monte Cristo. I have my friend Jared Romine always gives me these my father's or Montecristo's that he actually gets from Switzerland.
Yeah,
And
I got those too.
Yeah, another buddy,
Yeah.
Yves Lesieur, always pitches in with the cigars too. So yeah,
That's
But,
good.
yeah.
That's good. We got to.
Tatuaje is a good one too.
Oh, I
like
one of my
Tatu.
favorites.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Well, Martin, real quick, before as we wrap it up here, where is the easiest way for people to find more about North?
So more about North, you can either go to our website, northmenswear.com, or just follow us on any social media platform at North Menswear.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, and
Yeah.
thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Right from the get-go, you started hitting us up and sharing stuff, and I mean the same with the other brands that we've been talking to. After this, we'll talk to you about Chef Jeff, the Chef 420.
Woo.
Woo. Yeah, that's a guy to
Jeff
get by
the chef.
here.
Yeah, right. And speaking of chefs, so if I can plug this in,
Yeah,
February
go ahead.
27th, which is not this Saturday, next Saturday.
Okay.
The Tony Trujillo, the owner of this, is going to be doing a taco pop-up. We have Damon Lujan, who just painted that Kobe Bryant Mookie mural in L.A. I don't know if you've seen that in the
It was
news.
just shot
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So he goes by Zay1. He's going to be painting this wall on that
cool.
day live. And then Adam Lasher, he likes to trade on his own name, but he's Carlos Santana's nephew. He's going to be playing,
Oh, wow.
jamming out here.
So that's
Yeah.
Saturday next week?
Saturday,
At what
February
time?
27th, from 12 to 5 or until
Oh,
we're
definitely
done with the
coming by.
tacos. So.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
But,
Maybe
yeah.
I'll ride out this time. I just got to find a better route than the 5. But so, well, thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Really loved it.
Absolutely.
Fratty,
We're out.
we're out.
Peace. Thank you, gentlemen.
Fratty.
Oh no. We're it's video. Yeah. Thank you though.
Let's start that one over.
I'll cut it.
We'll cut it.
Bloopers.